right now, it's great to have Ian Castleberry joining us for our Major League Baseball update. Great to have Ian with us, courtesy of Mike Lawrence and his great staff at Happy Hill Restaurant. Ian, how you doing, lad?
I'm okay. How are you?
Hey, doing really well. Good to have you, buddy, because we got a few things to get to here. We'll start first with, of course, the wild card matchups in Major League Baseball. Let's get your picks for the Red Sox at the Yankees, Cardinals at the Dodgers. Starting first, up in the Bronx.
This is a great matchup. I mean, two really evenly matched teams,
Right.
One of the best rivalries in sports. The Red Sox had a 10-9 edge over the Yankees in the season series. That's why they're hosting this wild card game at Fenway. The Red Sox barely outscored the Yankees in the season series, 75 runs to 74. Boston was 6-4 against the Yankees at Fenway this season. But the Yankees starting Garrett Cole, he's their ace. He hasn't been great the last three starts. He's given up 15 runs over 18 innings, and he struggled against the Red Sox this season. Meanwhile, Nathan Eovaldi for the Red Sox pitched really well against the Yankees, 3.71 ERA in 6 starts. So the pitching edge, at least with the numbers, would seem to go with the Red Sox, but I like Garrett Cole in a big game like this. He's their ace. This is why the Yankees got him. If it goes to the bullpen, I like the Yankees bullpen anchored by Aroldis Chapman, who maybe hasn't been as good this season as he has in the past. But if it goes to the bullpen, I like the Yankees to get the edge there. So, yeah, I think I like the Yankees in this game.
You know, Garrett Cole has been struggling, and that was, matter of fact, a Red Sox fan, Keith Jarrett, is with us at 5 o'clock, and, I was going to point that out, that Cole's been kind of hot and cold, especially since, and do you think the whole Major League Baseball, basically looking into scruffing the baseball, and has that impacted his game?
I think it has, especially did at first. So maybe he doesn't quite get the same spin, but he did seem to straighten himself out later in the season, and maybe not quite as dominant without being able to use a spider tack on the ball. But I think he knows how to pitch, regardless of whether or not he gets kind of an illegal grip on the ball. So that has been a factor, but overall, I just think you have to like him. Nathan Eovaldi is a big game pitcher for the Red Sox, and I don't want to seem like I'm overlooking him, but Garrett Cole is supposed to be the ace, one of the best pitchers in baseball, and this is the time to prove it.
When we look at the National League, all right, so you got the Yanks in the wild card, American League wild card tomorrow. The Dodgers hosting the Cardinals. Normally when Adam Wainwright is out on the mound, you got a great chance to win if you're the Cardinals. Unless it's Max Scherzer on the other end of it. He's been lights out for L.A. Can we just assume it's going to be the same tomorrow, Ian?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I do like Adam Wainwright going for the Cardinals. I like the Cardinals' chances because of that. That's exactly who the Cardinals would want on the mound. But Scherzer's just such a ferocious bulldog. Yeah. I mean, he wants another World Series. He's been pumped up. He's been outstanding pitching for the Dodgers. And to be on this stage, in a one-game playoff, the Dodgers certainly didn't expect to be a wild card this season, but for Scherzer to be on the mound, I like Scherzer to dominate in this game. The Cardinals, they have, especially with the Paul Goldschmidt, Tyler O'Neill, they do have a potent batting order, but Scherzer going 5, maybe 6 innings and then turning it over to the bullpen. The Dodgers are in almost every area are better than the Cardinals and should win this game. But, of course, anything can happen in a one-game playoff.
Yeah, absolutely. And, with Kershaw out, is he done for the postseason or just for, say, the wild card or just, or for the
That hasn't been
series?
determined yet, but, yeah, okay. It's not looking good.
Oh boy, yeah, he's been effective as well in the playoffs. A big one, and thank God they picked up Scherzer. I mean, the Dodgers have just made all the right moves so far, and yet despite that, they lose the division to the Giants, who are just hot. Let's move on now to the division matchups here, Ian. Braves, Brewers. I really like this matchup, but what does Atlanta need to do to pull off a series win here?
They need to score early. I mean, it sounds like a no doubt to say they need to score more runs, but the Brewers clearly have the pitching advantage here. So I think if, especially from a starting standpoint, Corbin Burns, Brandon Woodruff, Freddie Peralta, but their bullpen has been a little bit shaky, and they are going to be down one man with Devin Williams not listening to Crash Davis' advice and punching a wall with his pitching hand. One of their best relievers going to be out. So for the Braves, I think that they want to jump on the Brewers early, chase those starting pitchers, get into that bullpen. If they can do that, I think they have a chance to win. Otherwise, if the starting pitching dominates, I think Brewers will win the series. But I like the Braves' chances in this series, especially in a 5-game set. I think the Braves can pull this out.
Man, and can you imagine if the Dodgers win, they'll be playing the San Francisco Giants. Holy cow. That'll
man.
be, I know, that'll be I'm kind of pulling for LA. I love St. Louis. That's one of the organizations I have such respect for. But man, a Dodgers Giants series, come on. And you know the networks are pulling for it. All right, Ian.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so hopefully Atlanta's bullpen doesn't let them down in that series. We'll wait and see. As Ian Castleberry joins us on the D.C. Creasman Jewelers Wise Lines, we're talking Major League Baseball headlines and, of course, the playoffs getting underway tomorrow with the wild card matchups, and it's all presented by our friends at Happy Hill Restaurant. White Sox in Houston, this is another intriguing matchup, Ian. What do you think is going to be the difference in this series?
I think it's going to come down to the bullpens, and I think that's where the White Sox have the edge with Liam Hendricks. Craig Kimbrell has not been great since joining the White Sox, but hopefully for the White Sox, he'll get it together in the postseason. I think Houston might have a starting pitching advantage right now. Dallas Keuchel has been a little bit shaky. Carlos Rodon has been inconsistent, but Dylan Cease and Lance Lynn have been very good. In terms of offense, I think it's almost a stalemate. Both very, very powerful. But I think ultimately the bullpen for the White Sox is going to give them the edge here.
All right, we'll look for it. And again, some great matchups in the divisional series. And again, if the Dodgers can beat the Cardinals, they play the Giants. And could be the Yankees or Red Sox versus the Rays. Would you be okay, or is it kind of nuts to you, Ian, that you have these divisional teams, same division, against one another?
I think that adds to it. I think it would be nice for them to face each other in the championship series, but I kind of like the familiarity, especially when it comes to a big rivalry like Dodgers-Giants, for instance. I don't mind that.
On you with that. Gotcha. All right, Ian Castleberry. Let's get away from the playoffs. Let's talk on the field. Shohei Ohtani says he's open to staying with the Angels. All right, good news for Angels fans. So what does Angels brass need to do and add around Shohei and Mike Trout to make this a team a contender in 2022?
Yeah, they have 2 years to convince Shohei Ohtani that he should stay with the Angels. I mean, I can't imagine that the Angels will trade him. Maybe they would think about that in the final year of that contract. But between Ohtani, if Mike Trout comes back healthy, Jared Walsh had a breakout season, 29 home runs, 98 RBI. So I think the offense is in pretty good shape, but they really the Angels have to shore up that starting rotation. Shohei Ohtani is one of their best pitchers, but maybe shouldn't be their ace. Alex Cobb also pitched well for them. I still say, geez, if Garrett Cole had ended up signing with the Angels instead of the Yankees, what a difference that would have made, obviously for the Angels, but in the American League overall. So I think the Angels really need to pursue some pitching, whether it's spending on free agency or whether they use some of their prospects, maybe somebody like Joe Adell, who's their top outfield prospect. I don't think they want to trade Joe Adell. They're hoping he will be their everyday left fielder, but that could be somebody that maybe they trade to get some starting pitching. And I think that's what they have to do to contend, or at least try to contend in Shohei Ohtani's final 2 years with the Angels.
And so there's a team that didn't make the playoffs this year, but you could look at the Angels as maybe one of those teams to be on the lookout for in 2022. And Ian, what other 2021 non-playoff teams do you think will be on the rise next season?
Well, in the American League, I think you have to look at the two teams that didn't quite make it to the wild card tiebreaker, the Blue Jays and the Mariners. If the Mariners shore up their starting pitching, I think, you have to look at them as possibly being able to challenge the Astros in the AL West. They only finished 5 behind them this season. And then for the Blue Jays, explosive offense led by Vlad Guerrero Jr. They have a good starting rotation, but I think if they add to that bullpen especially, those are two teams that should be on the rise. And maybe this is a little bit of a homer pick here, but I'd look at the Detroit Tigers as maybe making some noise in the AL Central next season. I don't think they're going to win the division. They're probably not even going to get a wild card spot. But they finished with an over 500 record in the second half of the season. They do have some young talent, especially led by Casey Mize, Tarek Scoble, some great pitching. If they can add a bat, especially at shortstop, maybe at catcher in the offseason, I would look for the Tigers to make a move in the AL Central.
Oh, real quick, on the Tigers, just real quick. So what factors played into that improvement in the second half of the season, Ian?
Pitching, but I think A.J. Hinch, he should win AL Manager of the Year. I don't know if he will, but he's getting the most out of his guys, making the right decision with matchups, getting the right guys in the lineup, giving guys a rest, and maybe realizing that Miguel Cabrera just isn't the same hitter that he once was and giving him some rest there. So I think he's getting the most out of the young players and using the role players correctly. They just need another really potent star bat. A lot of Tigers fans are hoping that Carlos Correa, the Astros free agent to be the shortstop, will want to play for his former manager, A.J. Hinch, in Detroit. If ownership is willing to throw a lot of money at him and they get a big bat like that, you could almost look at it as a similar situation in the early 2000s when the Tigers, they really made some waves. They added Pudge Rodriguez. They added Magdaleno Ordonez. I think the Tigers are in a similar situation going into this offseason.
Nice. We'll see where it goes. All right. So continue. Other teams that you feel didn't make the playoffs this year but could be on the rise next season.
The Padres have to be on the rise. Right? I mean,
I thought they were, right?
Yeah, they were supposed to be where the Giants are right now, finishing under 500. It's just such a disappointment. And I know they had injuries, but they underperformed so badly. But I think you have to look at them returning strong in the NL West next season, contending with the Dodgers. We'll see if the Giants can do this again. I think the Cincinnati Reds, they were in the playoff race for most of the second half. If they add some pitching, I think they have a very potent offense behind Nick Castellanos. And then, the Phillies, I think they're on the rise as well. They just missed out on the playoffs. Bryce Harper had an MVP season. I think he is going to win National League MVP. But again, if they can improve their pitching behind Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, if they can shore up that bullpen, their offense is probably good enough to contend, but they need to shut down the opposition. Excellent
stuff. As always, that's Ian Castleberry joining us.
All right, looking forward to seeing Chris's smile on TV there.
Me too, quite frankly. Hey, man, be well. Then we'll be knee-deep in baseball playoffs, so can't wait for that.
Okay, sounds great. Thanks, Pat.
Thank you, Ian, very much. Ian Castleberry writes for the comeback.com, also awfulannouncing.com. He also edits for both sites as well. He keeps busy and, of course, does radio appearances as well, including his hometown station right here in Asheville.